I'm Mariko Harkin, and I'm a ceramics artist from Gardner, Illinois. Well, I've always been really interested in making things with my hands. My mom was always interested in art when I was growing up as a child. She was always kind of sketching and painting things and making objects with her hands just as something that she liked to do for fun. And then my dad is a machinist. So I think that having those two things, growing up as a child, seeing them always making things with their hands and producing something that they were interested in kind of motivated me to get into art and wanting to be creative in that facet. And when I found ceramics, I just really connected with how tactile the material was and found it very gratifying to make something with my hands that could be used, and that there was always a constant challenge of making it better, making something different, and just with the nature of clay, things don't always go right, so you're constantly problem solving the technical process and then improving on things that you are personally picky or interested in. Always has driven me to continue to make things with my hands and specifically out of clay. Currently I'm making my pots out of terracotta. These pieces that I'm working on right now are a little bit more sculptural. So once the piece is thrown on the potter's wheel, I go back and add hand-built elements with coils and pinched pieces of clay to create a new layer of information on the surface, creating more depth. I also use a variety of different slips and glazes to create bold patterns and eye-catching motif that attract the viewer to the form. And this is primarily done at the temperature of 04 in an oxidation firing. All right, so it's important for me in these pieces that I'm making for the viewer to recognize these jars as utilitarian objects, but I'm trying to step past the conventional ubiquitous jar form and push it to something a little bit more conceptual. Jars contain items of nourishment, but they can also contain space for thoughts and ideas of things that we see in the world around us, feelings that we have about ourselves, about others, about craft, utility, and nature. The surfaces that I create, especially when I've added different layers of pinched and poked clay, remind me of folded fabric, skin, textures found in nature, and adding these to the surfaces of the pots are done in a way that I find beautiful, but others may not. And I think that by adding these different elements and creating figurative type works, that it allows the viewer to relate to these pieces on a conceptual level rather than just on a utilitarian platform. I want the viewer to be able to be confronted with these pieces and think, yes, I am supposed to interact with this on a physical level. However, this other information on the surface is guiding me to maybe think about things that you are familiar with, that you've seen in your daily life or encountered in natural settings. And I want the viewer to be able to think kind of outside the box on what these forms might be used for. In some of the forms, I use a lot of bright, bold, floral-inspired pattern. And for me, I've always been interested in floral and botanical imagery, simply because they're visually pleasing to look at. But also, for me, floral and botany remind me of different cycles of life, different phases of time that we go through. It's kind of marking different seasons, different changes that are happening in our life. And for me, I look to certain flowers and plants at different times of the year and look forward to, you know, things are changing, different things are happening cyclically, but I can always find kind of like a dependability in these floral and botanical images. And I like to put those on my pieces kind of as marking time and changes that have happened, and it brings out the beauty of different phases of life that we go through. It's really important for me to be able to show at the McLean County Art Center because it's allowing me to engage a larger audience within the Bloomington Normal area. Prior to this, I was just a part of ISU and the School of Art audience, and I think that being able to show here gets me past just my academic connections and will allow me to create relationships within this community.